Right, we are now live. Hey guys,
Hey,
Kyle here, and as you well know, Dave, looking a bit green for some reason. It must be to do with his Green Lantern lamp that's sitting next to his laptop. How you doing, Dave? All right. Oh, he's got the ring.
has that helped by any chance? Because I might not. I'm a big Xbox man, just like you are, Kyle. And everyone has a really bad controller on an Xbox. This is totally off topic, by the way. Um, and my one is that bad that it does this.
Wow, it flashed green.
Indeed, yeah. Just to remind you just how bad it really is.
Brilliant.
Anyway, back
Moving
on
quickly
topic.
on. So, Dave, last week we somehow managed to record an hour of actual stuff that was actual content and not just messing about, which was a feat, we must say. But obviously, we focused mainly on what I'm doing and my philosophy and everything else. So this week it's your turn. So
Are you somehow implying, Kyle, that there may not be as much content and maybe a little bit more mucking around because I'm the one talking?
I never implied anything. You're the one that said it.
Okay, sorry, perhaps the word suggested. Accentuated a certain tone of voice, whatever. Anyway, yeah, look, it's already started. Yes, it's me this
Right.
time.
Can we get on topic before it
Yeah,
deteriorates and we and it goes downhill from here? So
yeah.
I'm basically going to follow a similar sort of format to what we did last week. I'm going to ask you some really awkward personal questions for everybody to watch you and watch you squirm on, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Fantastic. Fire away. Where do you want to start?
So we'll start nice and simple. So you've set up Reboot Personal Training in Devon. That's where you're based at the moment.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what Reboot is, what it's all about, who it's for. You know, your kind of your ethos, if you like.
Okay, it's a really simple one, Kyle. I mean, much to yourself, it's based around the really simple principle of just doing more of what you love. Yeah, as you spoke about last week, right? It's a simple but not always easy philosophy to follow. And funny enough, when you do follow it, when you do more of what you love, you're happier. That has an impact across every single area of your life, not just your fat loss, not just your back pain, but your whole life improves. If you're trying to set your life up to be like that, it has a huge knock-on effect. And that was one of the reasons behind it. And the big reason that I called it Reboot, Kyle, is I was sort of going, it's almost like that people need, like when your computer crashes, yeah, and you
Yeah,
just go, right, Control Alt Delete, reset,
yeah, well,
yeah.
me.
I was like, that's effectively, I was like, that's what people need. It's like you just need a Control Alt Delete, a reboot of your brain, and hence the name. I was thinking reset personal training, and I'm like, but that just sounds naff. I was like, that's like bargain bin of Woolworths type deal. It's like, no, that's terrible. And one of the guys I know down here, he went, why don't you call it reboot? It's like you're just literally rebooting their life and rebooting the fat loss. And it's like, oh, genius. And from that day, that was it. That sort of was where it was born. And the philosophy, because it's not just another personal training company, Kyle. It's to deal with people that may be overlooked by traditional rehabilitation and fat loss markets. And I mean like traditional gyms, traditional physiotherapists, because I've got a bit of neuromuscular therapy in there, some life coaching. And the reason I did that, Kyle, is a really simple one, and it's actually quite a personal one, is I'm one of them, right? And I know you wouldn't look at it, you wouldn't look at me and go, really, Dave? It's like, well, actually, yeah, I've got an underlying medical condition. I've had some horrific back pain due to fracturing my neck. And if you got me to fill out a Part Q in a traditional gym, before even getting to go and try to exercise, let's ignore the fact that I do it sort of 5 to 7 days a week. Yeah, they would tell me to go and get a medical clearance from my GP. And it's just like, right. And he's like, okay, I can lift 2 times my body weight off the floor. I still need medical clearance. It's like, And you know, I suppose it just frustrated me, Kyle, because it was like, right, well, awesome. So I can't go and work out in normal gyms because I have to get medical clearance. That means a doctor's appointment. And if you've seen any of the headlines in the NHS and stuff like that, how long do you have to wait for a doctor's appointment just to get a piece of paper saying I'm okay to exercise? And I was like, there's got to be more people out there like me that have got a chronic medical condition or long-term pain, but you know, they want to burn body fat. Right? They still want what everyone else, what every other client of most fitness places and what personal trainers want. They want to lose weight. They want to tone up. They want to feel happy about their body and the way they look, but they can't because. And that's my ideal target market. That's the ethos of the people that I serve. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. It touches on kind of what we started talking about last week, doesn't it? When we were talking about the current model of the fitness industry or health and fitness industry, if you like, and how it sort of currently operates, and it relies on the fact that people are almost excluding themselves from being able to participate. So basically, you're focusing your attention on those people, those that are excluded, those that actually want to make those changes, that are actually suffering, but you know, maybe the conventional methods or philosophies that are out there at the moment are almost leaving them behind. Essentially, the people we talked about, the ones that the industry isn't currently working for.
Big time, massively, and it's something that came to my attention like recently. I started putting a little bit more marketing out there, thinking I might get one or two people, you know. I put a little advert out saying like, want you 5 more people, so on and so forth, you know, the stuff that you've done as well. I'm thinking, do you know what, if I get 10 people apply for it, that's fantastic. Yeah, cool. 45 leads later within the space of a week. So something there is going wrong, and I'm just, in some ways it's like, yeah, great for my business, but it's also just giving me a bigger reason to actually get this out and do more. If that makes sense, because there's clearly a lot of people and that's just in Devon. Then let's think about UK wide, worldwide. Yeah, but how many people are not being able to be included because this type of facility, this type of training isn't there.
Cool. No, absolutely. So, can you tell us a little bit more about kind of how you go at what your approach is and how you go about it? Because you said a little bit about using neuromuscular therapy. You've talked about fitness. You've also talked about life coaching. So, you know, what would people expect when they kind of walk through your door? What's the first thing that you kind of delve into? What do you do? What's your first step?
The first step is always try and meet them where they are and get to understand them. That's the coaching principles behind it. It's, you know, it's something that we as personal trainers, and I often make the mistake myself, is we always want our clients to try and, you know, get here and so come on, we want you to be there. Yeah, coaching says you meet people exactly where they are, and it's just effective questions to ask them. How are they doing? You know, why did they end up where they are right now? What choices have they made along the way? And it's just trying to get a big picture and even sometimes down to detail as to why they think the way they do, why they make the choices that they have done, and what actions that has led them to take based upon those patterns of thought and those choices. If that makes sense. That's always the first thing. Understanding them as the person, then understanding their barriers per se. That might be the pain that they're dealing with or the medical condition. Yeah, because that in itself can actually get in the way. Sometimes they start to associate their pain and their medical condition is them.
So it becomes an identity thing, and then they restrict themselves based on that.
Bingo, like 100%, you know, and I've done it myself, Kyle. This is, you know, it's like I am diabetic, you know, I'm a type 1 diabetic. No, I'm not. All right, I have type 1 diabetes. Yeah, it's something I have to live with it, but I can also deal with it. I can manage it. Yeah, and people don't even sort of think about this when you sort of see them saying, "Oh, I am an ME patient." No, you're not. You have ME. Okay. All right, you can still do things towards it. It might not always be amazing, and there will be days where it sucks. All right, like any long-term chronic medical condition, sometimes any chronic pain, but you can still do something. Because ironically, people don't realise that when they're trying to get rid of their identity, you know, they're going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to burn body fat and help manage my condition. Your brain goes, wait, hang on, I am that thing. So by eradicating the thing, I'm trying to eradicate myself. Yeah, and and that triggers an emotional, as we spoke about, you know, what you call the animals. Yeah, right. It's an animal attack. It's an emotional equivalent of an animal attack. So they go into these I'm going to use a term here, self-sabotaging behaviors, right? But it's not sabotaging. It's trying to preserve itself. Because if it engages in that self-sabotaging behavior, it doesn't change its identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the idea of familiarity, isn't it? It's the known, the recognizable pattern.
Bingo. And that's something that I work on both an emotional and a physical level when it comes to the rehabilitation as well. You know, you have to teach them and guide them through the process to show them that this new way of thinking, this new way of moving, it is actually safe for the brain. It's almost like, because I've got children, Kyle, you know, that when they experience something new, it's a bit nervous and they're a bit scared, you know. But you have to literally just take them by the hand and just guide them through. Just be like, look, come on, it's all right, you know. And then as they go through the process and come out the end of it, it's like, oh, my life. You know, it's like looking back, it's like, how did I even think like that? And it's like, yeah, I know. All right, because I've done it, Kyle. I've been there and I've gone through it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about creating those predictions and responses that we talked about pretty much before. Helping people find safety, helping them find clarity, maybe disassociate themselves a little bit from the thing as such, where they've identified themselves as the thing. It's learning to disassociate from that and see it as actually, well, it's not me. It's something I have that doesn't make it me, and creating safety around that and being able to move forward from there.
Bingo. And then it's a case of working on the bits that initially that they can control, because it's almost like a self-belief mechanism, right? And sometimes when you're stuck with a long-term medical condition or chronic pain and you've had it so long, right? You come along to this person and you know you change their world like that. That can actually in itself ironically trigger a threat. You know, it's too much change, as we know, right? There's three things that trigger a threat: too slow, unclear intent, and too fast. Now, especially in this day and age, too slow, from what I've seen with clients, is a lot rarer than too fast or unclear intent. Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, I could change their beliefs and get them to think a different way, or even create different movement patterns very, very quickly. Yeah. But without the intention behind it, and you know, it being too quick for their brain to accept, it just goes, yeah, and runs away or fights it. Yeah. So it has to be done as a process. Yeah, and this is sometimes the bit that people don't always want to hear, as I'm sure you're aware. You know, it's like, look, we can get you these results very quickly. Everyone wants a big win, right? Let's not lie about that. We all have magpie syndrome occasionally, yeah? We all like sparklies. Yeah, we all want to chase the sparkly every so often, all right? But never, ever, ever at the expense of the long-term success.
No, absolutely. That's the thing, isn't it? That's kind of where the difference between transformation and change kicks in, which is something that we both talk about quite a lot. It's quite, people can change quite quickly and not easily, but they can make those changes. But those changes are not necessarily sustainable. This is why people yo-yo, yo-yo diets, in and out of gyms, stop hitting all those kinds of things. So. You know, a lot of the time people label it as being maybe weak-willed or not wanting something bad enough, but the reality is that's not the case. The reality is that they're trying to do either too much too soon, and they don't enjoy it, or it's too stressful, or whatever, or maybe even like you said, on the odd occasion, sometimes it's too slow. Maybe they're making too much change too quickly, and the reality is not meeting their expectation, and all of a sudden,
bingo. Yeah, that's it. And you know, all of the above. And one of the reasons that I got into this side of things, Kyle, is I've been there. You know, this isn't just a case of me just saying this, right? I've had diabetes for how old am I? I'm 33. I've had it for 31 and a half years. Yeah, this is something I manage on a daily basis. Is it always good? No. Yeah, I'm a human being. Yeah, you know, if you're going to ask me, do I like steamed broccoli over Domino's? Oh, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, of course. Which one's got more sex appeal? It ain't the steamed broccoli. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, I'm a human being, and I think that's something that is missing in a lot of stuff. And I just wanted to put that out there. And the same with the physical rehab, you know, where I do what is affectionately nicknamed "heal you back and burn the fat." I've been there as a back pain patient. I basically got run over, you know, as you do. Great experience. Got T-boned by a car on my bike, went over the top, fractured my neck. It stopped about 2 millimeters from my spinal cord. Got a neck brace put on, no physio, left. Came back 6 months later. They were like, yeah, you've healed. See you later. Take the neck brace off. And being a really mature 19-year-old man, I totally went through all the rehabilitation. Oh, wait, I wasn't given any. And went straight back into exercising and training. And then sort of about 2 years down the line, pop. Back pain. I mean, Christ, I was a so-called 21-year-old healthy male, yeah, sitting on a recline bike, getting basically out-cycled by Gladys, you know, who's a 60-year-old in leg warmers. You know, bit of a wake-up call. And I went through, you know, massage, chiros, osteos, physios, yada, 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 you know. And it wasn't until I came across a really, really amazing chiropractor not far from where we were in Essex, in Brentwood. They put me onto a guy called Paul Check, who I know you studied with and done some stuff with, and Dax Moy as well with the mind map stuff. And that's what I've done, is I've done like the whole Bruce Lee thing. Kyle, you'll appreciate this with the martial arts, you know, assimilate what's useful and get rid of what isn't.
Yeah.
And something that always, you know, with both the fitness and the rehab stuff, it was kind of like, right, is this working? And it's like, hang on a minute, I'm seeing the same clients with the same problems week in, week out. Okay, something's not right there. Yeah, like you know, I know you've got quite an analytical mind as well, and rather than blaming it on the client, it's like, no, hang on, because this is something from my dad actually. He's a teacher. And something he's instilled in me is there's no such thing as a bad student. There's only a teacher that hasn't got through to that student in a way that they can understand.
Or as Miyagi would say, no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Except I probably can't do as good an accent and might look a bit stupid. So I'll leave the Miyagi impression to you. And that was it, Kyle. You know, we can. That's why Reboot's there. It's for people with long-term medical conditions and chronic pain that may be looking at all of these change programs, like you say, going, I want that, you know, I want to be able to look like that, I want to be able to lift and train and do that, you know. And it can even be something simple, something that a lot of people that don't have pain or medical conditions is, you can forget the simple stuff, right? Like the really, really simple stuff, yeah. And we can all say, I want to look like this and I want to look like that. When you can't play with your grandkids because your back pain is that painful, yeah, all you can do is sit on the sofa and watch the rest of your family experience that much joy by playing with the grandkids, yeah? The whole thing about transformation and change and the real reasons, they completely do this. They go 180, yeah? The physical stuff becomes something a little bit further down the line, yeah? Trust me, I've seen ladies that, you know, you'd write them off normally, or some people would in gyms, and they'd be like, no, they just don't want it. Yeah, just through sheer perseverance, because they're that desperate, you know, just something amazing, like being able to pick your grandkids up, jump up and throw them around. Bang. Yeah? That level of transformation is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's really powerful stuff, isn't it? And I think a lot of the time, you've probably experienced this yourself with people coming through the door. They often start with, they tell you the superficial thing, but there's always something way behind that that's actually motivating that. And that's where a lot of the coaching comes in, is actually digging through and actually pulling that out and actually getting them to recognize the reasons why they do things or want to do things. Because a lot of the time it can be buried, can't it? And although they're not necessarily consciously aware of it, so bringing that to the forefront of their awareness is really useful as well. So I think you talked about there, Dave, was we were talking about things too fast, too slow, unclear intent, right? Threat is. So you touched a little bit on about people's expectations. So, for example, you get someone come to you, maybe they're suffering with pain and they've got an injury, or they've got a medical condition and they're battling with their weight, and they come to you with, what most people would say is an unrealistic expectation of how much weight they want to lose or something that they want to do. And as a result, that maybe they've kind of gone through this yo-yo cycle process because they have this expectation that maybe everybody else believes is unrealistic, or maybe they even think it's really unrealistic in themselves. So how do you go about managing people's expectations and helping them kind of get to a place where they can accept sometimes maybe the process is going to be a bit slower and the result's not going to be as immediate as they initially would like? How do you go about that?
By having some sometimes not always pleasant conversations, but always done with love, and talking to them in a way that they can understand. It just comes down to effective questioning. Yeah. So like you say, if they come in the door and they're like, right, I want to lose 2 stone by not even, but this, but I've got this chronic back pain and so on and so forth. I can't actually move. It's like, well, okay, what do you need to, there's you in front of me. Okay, Kyle, so what do you feel that you need to do in order to actually do that? And it might be a case of, well, I need to do this and that. Okay, cool. How does your pain get in the way of you doing that? Well, actually, it totally stops me from being able to actually do any of that. Okay. How do you think that's going to impact what you want? Well, actually, I'm not going to be able to do that if I'm currently still in pain. Okay. So, if we could remove your pain fairly quickly, or even sometimes slowly, and take you through a process that would guarantee that you would be pain-free, would you be willing to accept that being done a little bit slower, as long as I can teach you the principles that will keep you out of pain and back onto the path to what you really want? And I've not met a person that's ever said no to that question, actually, Kyle. Especially when they're in that much pain or the condition's been there for so long. Yeah? It's about giving them the skills to be able to do it themselves, but then also understanding is that, look, it could be, that your expectations are unrealistic, but a lot of the times I think that that's because they don't understand what they really want. Not really, not truly. Like you said, they don't have the clarity on what it is they really want. Yeah. Like I was doing this with a client recently, and she's had massive issues. She's got some severe abdominal scarring. She's had yo-yo problems between anorexia and severe weight gain, and the abdominal scarring stopped her from training properly, causing back pain, yada yada yada. And in the end, do you know what it turned out that she really wanted? Yeah? She wanted to be able to enjoy exercise, not worry about the scales, not worry about what she looks like, not worry about measurements. She's been there with stuff, just to actually come in and train for the sake of training, just to enjoy the feeling of it. And funny enough, do you know what? When you give them that, all of a sudden, I don't actually have to ask her to do the nutrition stuff. They do it anyway. They go and do it. That's it, and it's about getting clear on what it is they really want. Because most people, like you say, come in with the superficial stuff, and it's about having those conversations and just going, look, do you mind if we explore that a little bit further? Right? Talking about it. Everyone's chasing something as a goal, but there's a real reason behind it, and a lot of the time there's an emotional reason, and then there's sometimes an even deeper, almost like on a spiritual level. Mm. And a lot of people aren't even aware of that. But when you get to that, that's it. That's what you really want. Oh, yeah, I didn't even realise. And it's about regaining that clarity. Once they've got the clarity, it's like, Do you still want that goal of lose 2 stone by yesterday? Actually, no. Or, yeah, I'm okay with that. But I'm also okay with it if it takes a little bit longer. Now that I know what I really want, okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a huge difference. It's just what am I looking for? It's funny to see sometimes how people can make that shift quite quickly and quite rapidly. And I've come across it myself with coaching clients. You know, they have all these things that they see as obstacles in the way, and the reality is that the obstacles often have little to do with them actually getting the end result. The obstacles they often put in place are the ones that they're looking for, because they don't have the clarity, or because there is a threat around the thing, or whatever else. And sometimes they are genuine obstacles. You know, sometimes life does get in the way sometimes, and you have to work around that. But a lot of the time, you tend to find that once you tap into that deeper reason, that real, whether it be the spiritual or whatever, usually it all comes back to this idea of people want to be happy, right? I think you would agree with me on that one. Once
100%.
once they work out what that is, a lot of the obstacles and a lot of the barriers and a lot of the things that they've been putting in their way tend to just kind of melt away a little bit. You know, there are still obviously some things that they have to work on, but you've probably seen it yourself, is that shift in perspective, and that shift and that sudden realization will go, well, actually, if I actually start thinking about that's what I want, and I start focusing on that, all that other stuff doesn't really matter anymore. So all the stuff that I've been putting in the way, so, you know, all this, oh, well, I have to, you know, drop 2 stone to start feeling good about my relationship again, and all these other bits and bobs that things come out when the real reason is, like you said, you know, they want to spend time with their family and do things with their family and their kids. Once they realize that, or whatever their reason is, you know, and they focus on starting to have that, all of a sudden things are very, very different.
Yeah, massively. One of the things that I also talk about with them, because I'm dealing with a lot of people that have got chronic conditions or pain that's been there for so long, and you know they've been and seen, like I did, other therapists, so on and so forth. Right? Is I actually have to have a really interesting conversation, and it's what the American military call this is embracing the suck. All right, that's quite possibly
for me.
Embracing the suck.
Ah, right, okay.
All right. Now, what that simply says is, right, I'm going to use this from a military perspective. This is one of the best definitions I heard of this, right? Is no one wants to go to war, right? You don't wake up and think, wow, God, I'd love to go into a battle zone, shoot people and be shot at today, right? However, there's a deeper reason for it, you know. I'm going to try and keep this positive, Kyle, and not be cynical, all right? Yeah. For, let's just say, it's for standing up what you value and believe in, because someone is oppressing those values and beliefs in a detrimental way. Yeah? Right? No one wants to get up and go, yeah, let's shoot people and get shot at. No. All right? That's the suck. That's the price. And sometimes it requires it. All right? And again, it's once they've got clarity, it's understanding the price that needs to be paid. Yeah? Getting really clear, like incredibly clear, physically, what's the price that needs to be paid, emotionally, what's the price that needs to be paid. And it's almost like a CSI, leaving no stone unturned, yeah? Because once you've got that clarity, right, you can then, or the person, actually go, look at it and go, do you know what? I'm not willing to pay that price. Well, okay, what price are you willing to pay? I'm paying this price. Okay. Are you willing to accept that your goal may not come as quickly, or you know you may not achieve it? Are you willing to downgrade your expectations, like we said? Well, okay, yeah, that's going to happen. Okay, but it's about getting you to trying to remove the threat or change your perspective on the threat and understanding that price. Because you know there will be sucky days, like you said, Kyle. Life happens, and especially where I'm dealing with people with chronic medical conditions and long-term standing pain, right? It's going to happen. All right, it really is. Sorry. Yeah, but you need to have that conversation with people, and it's not fun, but a lot of the time, most of the clients come back to me and go, actually, do you know what, Dave, thanks. You know, because you didn't pull the wool over my eyes. You weren't giving me airy-fairy. Yeah, and I say this, Kyle, because I live it, right? There are days I don't wake up and go, wow, I'd love to stab myself in the stomach and finger prick the ends of my fingers so I can't feel anything. No, I really don't, all right? However, the long-term complications of not doing it are not pleasant. Yeah? So, given choice, there you go. That's the price I pay. I embrace the suck. Yeah? And there are days where my diabetes goes off course. Sometimes for no explained reason. Do you know what I do? Sigh, take a few deep breaths, as we know about breathing. It cures everything. Yeah? And just get on with it. And just do my best to keep moving forward. That is literally it. Yeah? There's no secret to it. Do more of what you love. Get clarity. Accept that there will be days where it sucks. Yeah? Keep working the principles. And that's something that I try and instill in clients. They're all like, yeah, I can do this and do this. And it's like, right, cool. Show me that you can do it when it's not going so well. Yeah? Anyone can do it when life's going really well. Yeah? Anyone can keep those principles going. Right? There's nothing going wrong. Brain's like, woohoo, you know, sipping Mai Tais on a beach somewhere. All of a sudden, someone sticks like the equivalent of a nuclear bomb in front of it, and it's like, that's the truly defining moment. Yeah? When you've been doing your program for so long, all the time, your back pain's been really good, all of a sudden, you slip over and it, bang, there's a twinge in it again. Yeah? That's when you truly define by it, yeah, because that's when you either go, oh no, it doesn't work, oh, I can't do it, or you coach it through, you talk to me, talk to you, you go through it, and we normally just go, look, okay, right, we'll give you something to physically remove the pain, okay, we'll get you back into the mental state, and you keep working the principles, and that to me is the true definition of mastery, yeah. Anyone can do it when it's going well, but if you're still doing it when things aren't going well, congratulations. Because then it becomes a matter of when, not if. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah? Brilliant. And that's what it's about, Kyle. You know, rebooting your brain and body, giving you that chance to actually be able to do it.
Brilliant. Thanks for clearing that up, Dave. That's been quite insightful.
That's all right. Kyle, something we both share, mate, is the ability to waffle complete a massive sentence to a rather simple question.
So, Dave, what is Reboot personal training? Half an hour later. Brilliant. But no, it's all cool. It's cool. It's I think it creates a lot of clarity around what you do. Obviously, who it's for, and kind of shows really that I think there's kind of this perception with a lot of something that I've noticed with people that come to me is this perception around personal trainers being people that are maybe a little bit righteous in their approach, that, you know, my body is my temple. You know, I train 5 times a day. I only eat chicken and broccoli, and I expect you to do the same. I do 20 push-ups as you walk through the door. You know, there is kind of that perception, I think, that people get of what personal trainers are, and unfortunately, there are people that do justify that perception, but the reality is, I think there's a big. Well, we started touching on it last week. There is a big shift starting to happen within the industry.
Yeah.
It's not like that at all, or at least not. I think, and that's where we look at the difference between a coach and a trainer. I mean, we're getting into a slightly different subject there, but I think it helps for people to be able to see and understand that actually, you know, you've walked the fire that they're walking through. That you get where they're coming from, and actually that all this BS that's being flying around there about what personal trainers are and what they do is you know, it's not necessarily true. There are people that don't necessarily subscribe to the same methodology or same principles or same beliefs or same values. It's like we both know what we're like. It's we like, as you said, you know, we're only human. We enjoy the same things that everybody else likes, whether it be Domino's or whatever else, you know. So yeah, I think it's been very helpful for clearing up that actually there is another side to it, and it's not all just about pushing people till they're sick and bullying them into doing burpees when, you know, they can just about walk as it is, and you know, because I think that's kind of a big problem within the industry, and I think that's what there is a certain amount of distrust and maybe apprehension when it comes to looking at personal trainers, because when you throw those two words, personal trainer, people's instant reaction is drill sergeant.
Yeah. Do you know what, Kyle? Right? I draw my perspective on this from a couple of things. One is always the feedback that I get from my clients, which, you know, is pretty good. And two is my children, right? And I had a guy, he's been with me for 6 months. He said something quite profound to me about 2 weeks ago. And he just got sitting there with me talking. He just went, "Dave, thanks very much." And I'm like, "Okay, right, what have I done?" Was my first question. And he went, "No, I really appreciate it." And right before I say what he said, I'll give you a bit of perspective on him. He used to play rugby at a very, very, very high level. I'm talking like top level. And basically injured himself. He got a career-ending injury and had to have his shoulder plated and so on and so forth, right? And because of that, went through the whole misery thing, got himself out of shape, yada, 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 right? And he sat there and went, "Well, before I met you," he goes, "I had two choices." And I'm going to quote him here, and there's some colourful language in this, so be warned, right? He goes, "I had two fucking choices." He goes, "Either sit there and be a fat, lazy bastard," he's like, "or," he's like, "try and attempt to get this completely unattainable figure, you know, / level of fitness that, given what my body could currently do at that moment in time, there was no fucking way I was going to achieve it." And that was it. There was an A or B choice, you know. You can either sit on the sofa and do nothing and accept it, or you've got to try and get this completely unattainable level that scares the bejesus out of most people. Because it's, you know, let's be honest, we like training, Kyle, you and I train, but to that level, to that extreme, maybe not. And like you say, there is a perspective and there is a shift coming, and it is so nice to see because it's been so long in coming. Yeah. And that sort of really hit home that, yeah, this is the right way to go about this. This is a better way, because given the choice, Kyle, between completely, you know, godlike bodies and sitting on the sofa, there's too much of a gap. You know, you and I use this to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be. When the gap's like gone because it's that big, your brain just goes too much, unclear intent, too fast. I'm not going to be able to do it fast enough, so it's actually too slow as well. You know, you get almost all three forms of threat, excuse me, tripping off at the same time. And my kids, the other reason I say my kids, mate, is my kids, do you know what they do? They just play. They jump, they run, they crawl, they do push-ups when daddy's doing push-ups. Why? Because for the sake of it, for the sake of moving and being fun. Yeah? There's no, it's just fun. It's just fun to jump and stuff. It's just fun to do push-ups. It's just fun to do that. Do you know what? Even my little boy and girl, when daddy's doing chin-ups, I now have to do about 3 rounds of chin-ups because they want to have a go on the chin-up bar. Why? Because it's fun. And that's it. And there was nothing there. And it's really, like you say, it's nice to see that there is this perspective shift coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where in the next few years it goes.
Yeah, well, I think it can only get better.
Yeah.
So it's moving in the right direction, and I think it's just going to continue getting better. That's the hope, anyway.
Yeah, indeed.
Cool. Right. So one of the things over the sort of following on from this webcast is we're going to start looking at taking people's questions or looking at kind of specific struggles that people have. Now, we've talked quite a lot already today about yo-yoing and why people yo-yo. Although we've talked about it mainly in the context of being in pain, the principle transfers to, you know, wanting to lose weight and struggling with it, or, you know, dieting. Dieting's always a big one.
Do you know what? Sorry, I'm sorry to chuckle, jump in, all right? But do you know why it makes me laugh? All right, is that you and I, like where we studied under Dax, obviously, and he's big on the whole the meaning of the words and stuff like that. And you know, I 100% agree. You know, the meaning of the words, and more importantly, the meaning we give them and the language that we use. If you look at the word diet, I think it's Greek. It means way of life. That is its literal translation. All right. It is a way of life. It's just a way of life of what you're eating for. Eating for a way of life. That's the best definition of diet, which is ironic because it's its literal definition, but it's been bastardized. Massively bastardized. And because of that, people have got such a negative attachment and connotation to food. And as soon as you say it, you just see people, we're going to talk about your diet now. And it's like, is there a shotgun to the head option? Because I'd rather take that at this moment in time.
And I think that's kind of interestingly, that point kind of links into a lot of what we've just spoken about with perception of trainers and everything else, because there's a lot of shame and judgment that tends to get thrown around, and a lot of that is linked to the the meaning of diet as such, or the way that we kind of perceive it, and the meaning that we've given it is linked a lot to judgment and shame. And it's quite interesting because actually I did a blog post on this. I think it was last year. Because I was rereading my blog, because I'm putting a book together, just to plug that one in there.
Subtle.
Shuffling on Dave's introduction with my plug. But seriously though, I did a post on this, and because I subscribe to all sorts of bits and bobs, and I got this email come through, but it was talking about shoulds and shouldn'ts with diet. And I can't remember the specific words he used, but it was talking about making the choice between having a cake and staying disciplined. And he was talking about, you know, by staying disciplined, you stay healthy, this, that, and the other, right? But he was kind of implying that along the way that if you make that choice, that actually you're going to have that cake, you're not disciplined. So already we've got an identity statement there, and we've already spoken about identity. And the other thing as well is that in his email, he said, your goal should be to stay healthy. And now I don't disagree with the fact that, you know, I think everybody wants to be healthy and everybody wants to be fit. But that word should, you should be disciplined. You should want this. You would want that. I think all things like that, they all feed into that judgment, which triggers that threat from people, right? Because judgment in itself is another form of threat, isn't it? It's that emotional threat of separation, and it comes back to our tribal behaviors and how we've evolved over time. So what was I talking about, Dave? I've completely forgotten what my original
You saying about you got the email about the guy who wrote, or the girl, sorry, I don't know who it was, saying about you should be healthy.
That's
and how
right.
It comes into judgment.
That's right. And I remember reading this email, and it actually made me quite angry. It triggered a fight reaction in me. I wanted to sort of reply to this email in quite colourful language, which I didn't, because that's not the way I do things. But it kind of triggered that fight in me. And it just made me realise that, you know, a lot of the problem when we talk about diet or the word diet and the meanings that we've kind of attached to it, and when people come to us and we start asking them about their diet, automatically they go into threat because they assume that we're judging them. It's based on kind of these assumptions that they've created around what we do or what trainers do, and it's things like that where people say, well, you should do this, you should eat that, you should have this, and you should not have that, and you should stay disciplined. And you know, that in itself can create or trigger quite a powerful threat, and which will create resistance in itself, and it all feeds into this unhealthy relationship, right? And I think the way we kind of if we set aside the fact that a lot of people's eating rituals are the way they are because they're stressed, they're under pressure, they've got busy lifestyles, they're running around, they've got kids, they're running around like blue ass flies trying to make a living and everything else. That's one aspect of the problem. The other aspect, as you say, is this meaning that they've given around the word diet, and this it is an unhealthy, and it is or probably a better word is unhelpful perspective that comes around diet. And it creates this really negative relationship with food. And as soon as you start to bring it up, it triggers all of that negativity and all of that threat. And doesn't matter kind of what context you're coming at it from, that word in itself is enough to trigger threat. So here's a question for you, Dave. How do you go about looking at that subject without instantly triggering threat, or helping people work through the threat and actually start looking at maybe changing their relationships in a way and looking at it from a more helpful perspective? I'm not going to use the word healthy, I'm going to use the word helpful. So how do we help people make better choices that serve them, and ditch all the judgment and the shame and everything else that goes with it? How do you go about that?
One is firstly I actually talk to them initially and say, look, there is a nutritional protocol in there. Okay, we'll talk about food and hydration and so on and so forth. When you're ready. And they look at me and go, well, what do you mean? Isn't it part of the package? And I'm, yeah, of course it is part of the package, but when do you want to talk about it? And that throws a lot of people. They go, what? It's like, there's going to be some stuff around why you eat, physical response, like you said, Kyle, to stress, and God knows what's going on in their life. But I want to find out about you and what food means to you. So would you mind me asking you about that? Okay, that's fine. And it's that gaining of permission to then go and explore deeper. And I actually say, look, if anything gets too uncomfortable and you want to stop, cool. That's your choice. We'll go as far as you want. Okay, all right, that's fine. And I go, all right, okay, well, let's talk about it. And we draw some stuff out and we find out about them emotionally, what food means to them, yeah, where their perspective comes from, why it's there, how is it, like you say, like, how is it helpful to them, yeah? What isn't helpful? Would they like to change? Let's get honest, all right? We can talk to them and we can even coach them, but at the end of the day, the choice to change isn't ours, it's theirs. Yeah, it's like, would you like to change it? Well, yeah, actually I would. Well, okay. Would you like to explore some more and see what we can find out about it? Okay, yeah, let's do that. And it's just about, like you said, it's about that coaching through that process, Kyle, and just going through it and gaining clarity around their perspective on nutrition. Yeah, and asking them about the word diet. What happens when I say the word diet to you? Like you say, body language shuts down, and all of a sudden I'm talking to a Dalek from Doctor Who rather than a human being. It's like, diet, destroy. Yeah, it's like, well, okay, Mr. Dalek, why do you feel that way about diet? And we just talk them through it and go through the process. And then we ask them, when you're ready to try some different nutritional protocols, would you be open to that? Would you be open to trying something different? Okay, yes, I would. Okay. And, like you've done the elimination stuff with me, Kyle, and so on and so forth. You've done similar stuff. You and I have put together some bits back in the day. I used to be like, you must follow this for 30 days. I was Robocop of the personal training world, Do not eat wheat, comply with it or you will be shot. Well, now it's just a case of, look, these are the guidelines, all right? These are the ideals. And I don't call them protocols anymore. I say ideals, all right? But I also acknowledge that you're a human being and you change at a level and at a speed that you want to change. And you know what? I've got some clients that have gone, yep, I'm going to go cold turkey and do all 6, fine. And I've got other clients that have gone, actually, no, I'll do that one. And they've done it consistently. And then they go, actually, I want to do more now. And it's just about finding out a speed and a process, why it is that they think that way, where it's come from, what they would like to think and feel differently, what they would be doing. Yeah. And then giving them something to try. And understanding, look, you know what? And this is something that I think a lot of trainers and stuff, it's like, oh, you broke your diet. What punishment? Punishment. Sorry, it's like, did I skip church? Where's the flagellation going? It's like, good Lord. Yeah? It's just like, look, you're a human being. All right, let's look at it. Let's understand why you broke it. Yeah? And something that you did with me, Kyle, you gave me this one, is getting them to draw up a contract with themselves. They write their new nutritional protocols. They write their new emotional protocols almost. they sign their contract.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
That's
An agreement with themselves.
It's an agreement with them. It's not with me. And I say this to him, and I'm like, look, if you break it, let's just say you sign up now and do this, and then all of a sudden your best mate calls you up and goes, Don, do you want to go out on the lash? Let's go out for a pizza and get drunk. And you do it. It's like, are you really going to care about me? And I don't mean that in a harsh way. And they're like, no. I'm like, no, of course you're not, because you're best mate. All right? Personal trainer versus best friend. What one's going to win? Yeah, I don't know why some PT still haven't cottoned onto this. All right. And then, so rather than that, I go, right, well, let's draw this up. So who did this new protocol, this new way of thinking? And they're like, oh, it's mine. Who are you signing that contract with? Oh, me. Because then if best friend calls up, they go, actually, you know what, I don't fancy going out tonight. Or can we go and do something different? And that's when it starts to get into there, Kyle. That's when it becomes powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah. But it's about just asking them about why they think and feel that way around nutrition and diet, and more importantly, getting their permission to explore it. That's a key one. Yeah, massive amounts of things can be done with people just by saying, "Look, I am going to ask you about this. If you don't want to talk about it, that's okay. Do you mind if we do?" Yeah, and it's done in quite a soft way, very deliberately. There's no head first, straight in with the blunt questions. You know, there are times for it, but initially, on that initial consultation and initial meeting, you obviously want to gain trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and going in like, you know, killer RoboCop doesn't always gain trust.
No, not at all. That's the thing, right? I mean, that's kind of part of how we've both kind of evolved over the years, if you like. And you get people come to you at different levels and different levels of readiness, or some people are more open than others, or, you know, it depends on where they are at that time. And it's exactly what you said about meeting people where they are right now. And I've had clients that, or I've spoken to people, you know, I've had coaching sessions with people, and on a single phone call, I think I asked one question, I got their entire life story, and they had a major breakthrough just from, and I said probably about 10 words in the whole call.
Yeah.
Whereas you get other people, you know, it takes time, it takes weeks, you know, or months for them to start to gain, or to start to gain their trust, or for them to feel ready to explore those things. And it's all about working at the pace that works for them. I've had clients text me out of the blue, sort of 6 weeks down the line, all of a sudden I've had a text message with someone's entire life story saying, look, I think you need to understand this about me and where I've come from, and this is why I am. And, you know, and everybody's at a different level of readiness, and there's no expectation from myself, and there's no expectation from you that they're just going to turn around and say that. If they want to tell you those things, then great, we'll work with it. If they don't, then that's cool too. You know, we'll focus on what level they are comfortable to work at.
Yeah, amen. And then that's what it should be about. You know, they go, whoops, it should. That in an ideal world is what we'd love everyone to be at. Yeah, is you change at a rate that's, you know, ideal and comfortable for you to allow you to progress in the best manner. Yeah, and like you say, some people bang done. Other people, you know, it's a process. Yeah. Like you said, like even with the rehab, even with the physical rehab, Kyle, I had one lady, I reset her feet, it took really well. Bang, like emotional trauma, boom, like literally, she rang me up like a couple of hours later, oh my God, I'm literally crying. You know, for the first time in 16 years, my feet are pain-free. Yeah. Another lady couldn't get out of her stressful situation at work. That was a real cause of back pain. It took 16 weeks to go through it and go through the process, and she got out. And it's, like you say, it's a case of it all. One of the things that I genuinely believe is it's not just a case of how willing and how much you want it, it's also how much, like how ready you are to accept it. Yeah?
That's right. Important word, readiness.
Readiness, yeah. I use this, and because it's my genuine belief, Kyle, that I use my kids as an example, because one thing I genuinely believe about people is we're given everything that we need to succeed from the word go. Yeah, once you've learned to physically walk, and eventually once you're old enough to actually fend for yourself, right, a lot of the stuff, that the success principles that are programmed into your brain, all right, and physically and emotionally, are already there. They are programmed into your DNA just because I've watched my children. I've had the pleasure to observe them growing up. Yeah, and dear Lord, if I approached every single problem in my life like my 3 and 5 year old, I swear to God, you know. But you know, like you say, a human being, I stress out still. Whereas kids don't. They just go, oh well, I have a temper tantrum. Get up, right? Let's find a way to make this fun. And it's like you said, that's the principle of our coaching. Yeah. And they go about things in a very structured, logical way. They think things through. They apply. They test it. Think things through. Apply. Test. Think things through. Apply. Test. Do you know what though, Kyle? Here it comes. It's not sexy. All right. It's not going to sell as well up front initially. All right. Maybe not. And I say this to clients. I go, sorry, it's not sexy. It's actually not. I apologize. All right. Yes, with that facetious tone of voice. But it works. Yeah. It's a simple principle. All right. Like you said, how much you want it, how willing and ready you are to accept it for whatever reason. Do more of what you love. That's it. Bang. Done. Test, analyze, repeat.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is that simple. But like you say, it might not be as sexy as the drop 10 stone by Friday approach. You know, that might not have that appeal. But like you said at the beginning, you know, that approach doesn't work for a lot of people, and this approach or your approach that you're looking at, and which is, you know, we're similar in our methodology and our mindset and everything else. You know, it's to help those people that are not the 2% that the current model is working for.
Yeah, amen. Which, you know, it is ironic in and of itself, but you know, it works. It works, and it works wonders, and it's amazing. It really, really is fantastic approach. You know, if you're ever in Essex, please go and get a chance to speak to Kyle. If you're ever in Devon, in Exeter, come and have a chat. You know, the mind map process is absolutely phenomenal. It really, really is. What it can do and the amount of clarity that you can gain is out of this world.
Indeed.
There you go, Kyle. Shameless plug for you as well.
Virtual high five.
Yeah, sorry people, the content's not as good this week.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll be going for about an hour or so. So.
Oh my life! Wow.
Yeah. It's probably time to wrap it up. So next week we're going to start looking at more specific. So we're going to be looking at more. We're going to be coming to you with people's struggles, things that we've experienced, people struggling with, and things that we've struggled with ourselves as well, and start kind of maybe picking those apart a little bit and helping you kind of get some more clarity and see, you know, things that we know that work for people. You know, we're going to start sharing with you guys. So if you do have any specific questions or subjects that you'd like us to tackle in our usual way, then please feel free to get in touch. You can drop either of us an email. You can get to me through Kyle Hargreaves at personaltrainerbillericay.com or Dave at
info@rebootpersonaltraining.com.
Brilliant. Cool. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, have a great week, guys. Dave, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle.
I managed to stay awake through all of that, so that
I'm sorry, Kyle. You know, I'll go back and re-watch yours, and if I fancy a nap in a minute. Brilliant.
On that,
guys. Yeah, maybe we should cut that there.
Yeah, right. Bye, guys.
Yeah.